Welcome back to Survived by Loss, a podcast providing a voice in the dark where we hear stories about erasing the gray and ending cycles. I'm Haley, and I will be your host. If you made it through the trailer, you'll know from now on this podcast will be one giant trigger warning. Before we dive into today's episode, I would like to say the following content may contain sensitive topics or discussions that could potentially evoke strong emotional responses or discomfort. I encourage you to prioritize your mental health and proceed with caution. If you find yourself feeling distressed at any time, please remember that it's okay to pause or stop listening. Your well being is incredibly important to me. Remember, you're not alone and support is available. We will talk about loss in every single kind. You will hear my personal stories as well as people that I know and love, and hopefully one day this will inspire you to talk about something you have lost with all of us. My goal is for this to be a safe space to share, a place to let go, to find people to add to your list so you know you aren't alone in your time of healing. Episode 5. Here we are. I feel like I've been neglecting this a little. 2 weeks goes by way too fast. I get one out. I think I'm good to go. And I feel like the next day it's 2 weeks later. I think it's my job. I've gotten into an autopilot routine. I feel like I don't even need to think about it anymore. My alarm goes off at 3. I snooze for 10 minutes 3 times. Lux is so funny when it happens. She knows when my alarm goes off, she gets happy, shoves her nose in my face. I pat the blanket next to me and say, "Not yet. It's just a snooze, sis." Then she lays back down. The second one, same thing, but less energy because she knows we have one more to go. She just stares to see how much I move on this one. Usually I'm putting my phone closer and trying not to move as much so I don't get punched in the eye. The last one is when she finally knows and gets super excited. At 3:30, I finally get up. Lux is doing circles in my room in the pitch black. While I'm forcing myself to get up, she's jumping on and off the bed. She is literally so funny. We get up, she gets breakfast, I hop in the shower. While I blow dry my hair, I fight every urge not to yell at her as she is licking my legs like I've never given her water before. You thought a towel would get your legs dry. Nope, just need a Lux. I get dressed, turn on the TV, go out to the dog park for 30 minutes, come in, set the TV timer for the longest time, which is 3 hours, kiss the top of her head, make sure she had water, and then I'm off to work. It's literally the best routine. Lux truly is like my child. I feel like for this episode, I want to talk about how I got to Utah and got this funny little fluffy thing in my life. I might start off a little rocky, but we need an episode with a happy ending. Let's go back to Vegas time, before I turned 30. When I was young, I remember us always having a dog. We had Cosmo, who for the life of me, I can't remember what he looked like or what type of dog he was, but I remember he was the first one. After that, we got Samson, the giant baby that was bred to hunt lions in Africa. The one that was the best and worst at the same time. He was a really good dog for so long. Lake, sand dunes, dry lake bed, mountains, and everything in between. When we had him, we also adopted Delilah. She was a pit rescue that we got. She was a giant ham. I remember my dad built them a custom doghouse from the ground up. It was so cute. It had a window, a dog door that led to their own porch. It was red and it even had a tiled roof. It was drywalled with insulation. The porch was built around a little tree so there was shade in the summer. And the dog run where they could go potty so they weren't going on the deck. He even put in an air conditioner for them. Delilah got a little crazy at the end, to the point she tried to scratch her way out of the doghouse from the inside. She must have got a little separation anxiety towards the end. There was a little gate with white metal flowers that my dad made, which had been around for as long as I remember. She tried to climb over it, which is absolutely insane because it is as tall as I am, and seriously hurt herself. I don't remember her much after that. I just remember it was getting dangerous, and then poof, she was kind of out of my memory, which is so crazy. I can picture her at the lake with us wearing my dad's bucket hat or on Christmas morning, and then nothing. That brought us to 2008 when Jay and Samson passed. Then it was just the three of us. We decided losing the boys and coming home to an empty house was not it. It was lonely, and we needed another little fluff ball. In comes Parker. I will say, technically, I picked out Parker and Leo. Even though the research was done, I spotted them. Just keep that in mind, okay? Parker was so freaking cute. He looked like a little Ewok from Star Wars when he was a puppy mixed with a real-life teddy bear. He was so cute, and it was almost like he was fake. Parker got his name because Jason would always go to the park. It was his thing. Him and his friends would hang out under a tree not too far from our high school and just be. It was a perfect memory, really. Parker was 100% my mom's dog. She would dress him up, give him comb-overs, snuggle him like no other. We found out he had an obsession with purses, and there's like this little fabric purse, and we gave it to him, and that was his favorite toy. He didn't care about anything else. He wanted his purse. I love him. I can't. It's interesting how I'm sitting here. I can remember Parker so clearly, but also how much I don't remember. It's like trauma brain or something. I'm not sure if it's because life was so tough when we had Parker. Just a lot going on, but sitting here right now, my chest gets tight. I have that little lump in my throat, and I feel like I need to cry, but I couldn't tell you a factual reason I'm feeling like this. It's so weird. Parker was such a good puppy. He had the best personality. He was calm and loved to be loved. His only downfall? He hated thunderstorms. One night we weren't home and there was a pretty bad one. This guy scratched the top of my parents' nightstands. Like, so out of the way and random. My brain's wanting me to think that there was blood all over when we came home that night. He was terrified. My mom was terrified. My dad was like, what is happening? It was so bad. We got what my parents called thunder panties after that. It basically was a tight little shirt/wrap that helped calm him down. And I think it worked. Maybe it was just the constant hug he needed. I asked my mom what her favorite thing was about Parker. She said that she appreciated that he loved her unconditionally. He let her love on him and never pushed her away. His little wiggle butt, and that he was the CDE, cutest dog ever. He officially earned the title from a very harsh critic, I'll tell you. Parker was the most amazing thing to happen to my mom. He loved her unconditionally. No ifs, ands, or buts. He was everything she needed and did more than her broken heart could have ever imagined. Then comes Leo. I came in to writing this with a plan. I really wanted to talk about Lux and how I got to Utah and how I got Lux and what she's meant for me, what she's done for me, how amazing she is, how for the first time ever in my whole entire life, I know what it feels like to be loved unconditionally. And when I say that, I just mean good days, good moods, bad moods. There's something about an animal just like loving you for you, no matter what. I could be in the most depressed moment ever and not go outside for 8 hours and sit on the couch in silence. And the second I move, her tail wiggles and she gets excited and she just wants to come be loved. And there's nothing like that. It's interesting how the further I've come with these, I've realized that I've been very hesitant on topics. I feel like there's a lot that I'm afraid to talk about. I feel like if I talk about certain things, it makes them real. I feel like I have to be careful because things that I say could affect perceptions. And not just me. I don't care about me. I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know what I've been through. I know what I've fought through. I know the work I've put in to be where I am right now. But there's things that have happened in my past that are important and have made things happen the way that they have. I was in the middle of writing this and my mom called because she calls me on her way home from work, which I love since we're not close. I told her I was working on this, of course, the night before and only had a couple hours to record, write, edit something to get it out. How I work best under stress, and sometimes that's just when the best ideas come to mind. I asked her if there was a topic that I could talk about because I really wanted to start working into maybe talking about my dad, even though talking about it literally makes me sick to my stomach for so many reasons. But I feel like it's important to talk about. It's a massive thing that happened, and it's recent enough to hurt really bad. So I'm not going to write, and I'm just going to talk about whatever my heart needs to get out, because clearly, based on how I've been feeling these last couple weeks, months, to be fair, there's something that needs to be. So I guess we'll find out together what that is. After a short intermission, I have decided to start the dad topic, which is terrifying. However, I figured the best way I could do that is read what I wrote for his service. I feel like this will be a pretty good starting place of somehow segueing into the topic. It's hard and difficult to be vulnerable about the situation because there's so much to it. However, I'm going to do my best, and here it goes. I've written this 5-page, super detailed speech in my head more times than I would like to admit. But as soon as I sat down to try to put it together, of course, I blink. Why do I bring it up and giggle? Because if this was my dad's speech, he wouldn't need to write it down. It would be typed out in his head in some cool font with a file named accordingly, and he would say the exact thing that was needed with no errors. It would be verbatim. But as we all know, is just who he was. One year as a gift, I bought these different wood print pieces of paper and glued them together so both sides were wood print and they were more sturdy. I can't have the marker bleeding through or one side being cheesy because, it was for my dad and it had to be extra, of course. I made the print mix match. I wrote all the things I loved about him, all the things I was thankful for, and tied each one individually with a little piece of rope. I put them in a jar that was fitting and gave it to him the next morning. He decided that he would open one every time he had a drink of the whiskey my mom got him. It just became a fun little thing that spaced the notes out and made him smile when he needed it. I would come home some days, weeks apart, and peek at the jar to see how many he got through, and would get excited when I could see he opened another one or two. I decided to find the jar today and see what the last one he read was. To my surprise, they are all open. Every single one. I'm not sure when he finished opening them, but he did. And it's weird that as I'm typing this play by play, my heart is pounding and I am stalling, looking at the reddish brown paper on top, not wanting to look because I'm not ready to bawl this morning. Thankfully, my mom just pulled up with groceries, so I get to stall. I couldn't help it. I opened 6 of them. You taught me the importance of hard work. Because I saw how hard you worked and all the things you could do, I made sure you and Mom took me to my first job at 16 and have worked hard to provide ever since. You helped raise me to be the best that I could be. All encompassing. my work ethic, my drive, my determination to be better, to be kind, loving, supportive, patient. I can count on you for anything. Whether it's a microscopic piece of glass in the bottom of my foot that you have to file tweezers for optimal sharpness, use the jewelry loop and reading glasses to even see it, or you being in the middle of emotional turmoil and somehow creating the most beautiful shelves I've ever seen in my life for my little salon suite. You've been absolutely incredible. I couldn't have asked for more. I admire the sacrifices of missed holidays and birthdays so you could provide. It all started with a boat. My little 5-year-old self driving it around the lake. You letting me drive the big dually in the mud at the dry lake bed. Letting me be fearless, sitting on the phone books because I could barely see over the steering wheel. To the dunes and being my hype man, telling me I could jump further. Or that at 10, I could totally ride the Kawasaki 500 and you not be concerned, then letting me feel like it was my idea to ride your bike. The memories we created during this time are priceless. You taught me to value what I have. I know sometimes it seemed like I didn't listen, being such a flip-flopper in life, but I swear everything you instilled is filed away and here for when I need it. Whenever we're together, we laugh. If I had $1 for every single time we laughed while I was living with you these last 4 months, I could buy all the things. If I had $1 for every time you made me laugh in my 27 years, I could buy everyone here all the things. I never really realized where I got my wheeze laugh from, but there is no question it was 100% you. When I think about your life, I don't think that there's one skill that I could leave off the list of things that you can do. How you could create anything out of anything. Literally. Gates, custom kitchens, furniture, a homemade foundry so you could melt bullet cases into an exhaust tip that you designed, or into a bolt that you could have bought at the store, but instead of doing it the traditional way, you have to be extra fancy. All of your beautiful art, the custom fabrication to make things that worked perfectly somehow work even better. How musically inclined you are. The band nights where I would sleep in front of amps and drum sets at 1 a.m. How you listened to a song with Mom and I once and could play it, then secretly practice while we were at school or work to surprise us and listening to us sing while you play. Try not to smile the whole time. Or when you would learn a song, play it, and sing it as high as you could because Mom thought it would be funny. Thank you for being a trooper when we tried to hide that we were filming you, playing, knowing you would catch us every time and give us the side eye, but you kept going because you knew how much we enjoyed it. Thank you for teaching me all the boy things. Oil changes, tire changes, welding, how to smooth wall, patch holes, or troubleshoot car noises. For teaching me things so I never walk in an automotive shop asking for blinker fluid. Thank you for passing on your creative abilities and desire to learn. I know life hasn't been fun for you in a lot of ways. I know that you've had things you've pushed down to make sure you could be the best you that you could be for our family. I know you love me more than you could ever tell me, that you were proud of me, that you got to see the real adult me, that we became friends and talked about all of the difficult things, that we got to cry together, laugh together, have singing days, movie nights, and times we sat in the same room on our phones and were perfectly content. I know you were hurting and your heart felt heavy. Your head was loud and constantly buzzing. I know how alone you were feeling, even though you had someone sitting next to you. I know how heavy the thoughts were, how crippling the thought of putting one foot in front of the other was, how the roller coaster of emotions made you feel. 1 second, you knew you were strong enough to get through it. How in your heart you knew you could do it. How bad you wanted to be everything you thought you haven't been for Mom and I. I'm sorry you felt the need to constantly apologize to me for being vulnerable and feeling what you needed to feel and work through. Don't be sorry. This is heavy stuff. It's stuff I've been feeling for a majority of my life. I know it hurts and I know it's hard. It's hard to understand the point of waking up some days. It's hard to convince yourself that there's a purpose. It's hard to stay noticed, to feel what you're feeling and find a solution for that second just to make it to the next. It's hard to understand why you could be hugging someone and still feel lonely, or be surrounded by people who love and admire you and still feel lonely. It's something I still feel every single second of every day. I get it. I have to talk with myself and my spirit and figure out how to process it so I can take it on and make my next baby step. I totally get it, Dad. I'm here to support you as much as I possibly can. Always have and always will. There's no quick fix. I wish there was. Life would be so much easier and enjoyable. I don't get why it's like this. It's mind-boggling and hard. I just know that I have to have a purpose, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here. And it would be a damn shame if I didn't push through these rock moments and get a 16th of an inch closer to whatever that is. I love you very much. It's not easy. It's a loss, and I understand, I really do. I'm so sorry your heart hurts. I can wholeheartedly say that I know what it feels like to be heart and mind broken. It is a dangerous combo, but we have a purpose. We have to remember that. There's a reason. I couldn't begin to understand what this feeling is supposed to teach us. Why feeling this type of torture was created for our souls. It's really stupid. However, everything happens for a reason, whether we like it or not. And we have to be our biggest supporters of ourselves and get through these moments. It's okay that we sit in the feelings, that we let it hurt, we let it affect every fiber of our being, as it's the only way we'll learn and grow from it. But we owe it to ourselves to make sure we don't sit in it for too long, that we learn the cycles and break them, that we realize there's a past for a reason. It doesn't make sense and it sucks. But even at our weakest moments, we can be the strongest. This is a text I sent my dad the day I realized how he was feeling. He told me a week or so before he passed that he read it once a week. I'm not mad that he chose this path. I don't think it's selfish. I can't be disappointed for his choice. If anything, I'm so incredibly sad that he felt this was his only option. Dad, I'm so sorry you've carried everything you have on your shoulders for so long. I'm so sorry you felt alone even when I was hugging you. I'm so sorry you felt like you didn't deserve love, that you felt unworthy. I'm so sorry that you thought making this choice would make it easier for me, that you thought of yourself as such a burden. I'm sorry that I couldn't be that little voice in your head to remind you always how amazing you are, how even though you felt like I deserved a better father, you missed the fact that you were everything I could have ever needed. I'm sorry I didn't hug you tighter and look you in the eye Sunday night and scream in your face that I loved you more than you knew. I'm so sorry that you carried guilt for Jay, that you carried the pain of losing Tony and Mark. I'm so sorry that you found your dad and you took on his pain. Him making his choice wasn't your fault. And even though he thought you didn't need him anymore, he thought that you were strong enough to handle life without him. I know you weren't. I know it broke your heart, the not wanting to fall asleep because you'd wake up in the morning and realize it wasn't a dream and that he really was gone. That the man who taught you so much and helped you become who you were today thought he was a burden more than a gift. I know what it felt like to think about how he would never meet his grandkids, that he wouldn't be here on your wedding day, that every memory of him would be the last, how he thought you could make it through life without him, that this was the easiest way. I think we both know that wasn't the case. Even though I need you, even though you thought I would be strong enough to lose you, that I would be able to get through life never hearing your voice in person, knowing you won't be there for my best days or my worst nights, knowing that my last I love you would be the last time I would ever feel your hugs and walk away. I promise you I will not walk away from myself. I promise I won't let this break me. I promise to be strong, to let go, and do whatever it takes to be everything you saw in me. I promise to believe in me like you did. I promise to make you proud. I promise to whisper how much I love you often. And I promise to look in the mirror and tell myself how much I love me. I promise I will work on feeling deserving and worthy of love. I promise to break my family cycle and get help when I need it. Thank you for loving me, Dad. Thank you for thinking of me in your last moments and protecting me. I hope you found comfort in knowing when you made your choice that you weren't alone, that I would be here in the morning to make sure you were taken care of. I hope you found peace and that your heart isn't heavy anymore. I know heaven is supposed to be amazing, but I can guarantee something will need to be modified. I know I've said it before, but I bet you have the coolest wings. With all the love, your baby bird. As we draw this episode to a close, I want to take a moment to reflect on the journey I've shared today. Talking about the loss of my dad to suicide has been both challenging, but as always, extremely therapeutic. It's a wound that will never fully heal, but it has also been a turning point for so much growth and change in my life. After his passing, I made the decision to move out of state, finding new experiences and a fresh perspective on life. This move was life-changing. It allowed me to see the world through a different lens and gave me the space to explore treatments that could end the cycle of trauma in my family. It's definitely been a journey of self-discovery, resilience, and healing. Through this process, I've learned to appreciate the beauty in life, to cherish the moments of joy, and find strength in the face of challenges. One of the most significant outcomes of this journey has been my career in dispatch. In this role, I've had the honor and responsibility of being a lifeline for others during their darkest hours. Every day, I strive to be the support and the calm presence that I needed on that tragic day when I lost my dad. It's a role that brings meaning and purpose to my life, knowing that I can be there for someone when they need it most. I know this isn't necessarily the happy ending I was expecting when I started today's episode, but it's real and authentic. Opening up the conversation about the loss of my dad is a topic too large to share in just one thought or episode. Presence reminded me of the importance of support, community, and the healing power of sharing our stories. My journey and my ability to find light even in the darkest of times. I hope that by sharing my story, I can offer a glimmer of hope to those who may be struggling with similar experiences. Remember, it's okay to seek help, to move forward, and to find new ways to live and thrive. I know that I feel guilty often for being where I am today. Thank you for listening and for being a part of this conversation. Together, I know that we can create a community of understanding, support, and compassion. Until next time, take care of yourselves and those around you. Life is a precious gift, and even in the face of loss, there's always a path to healing and hope. I love you guys a lot. I hope you know that I mean that with everything I have in me.